Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. Here is a fact-based summary of the story contents. Here is a simplified version of the story contents. Here is a lighthearted take on the story contents. The Golden Bachelorette winner, Chock Chapple, headed back home to Wichita, Kansas as he and his fiancée, Joan, continue their long-distance relationship. After the Golden Bachelorette Season 1, during which Joan and Chock got engaged, they each decided to keep their homes in Rockville, Maryland and Wichita, respectively, and look for a place to live together in New York City. However, in early June, Joan went to Florida without Chock to participate in Miami Swim Week, where she walked the runway. Soon after, though, they reunited in New York City. The Golden Bachelorette winner, Chock Chapple, headed back home to Wichita, Kansas as he and his fiancée, Joan, continue their long-distance relationship. In an Instagram story, Chock posted a photograph from the cockpit of a plane with the caption, "Heading back to Wichita." Chock's departure comes after his and Joan's trip to New York City, during which they enjoyed the Broadway shows Death Becomes Her and Oh Mary, and spent time with Joan's 93-year-old mother and 83-year-old aunt. In an Instagram post, Joan revealed that they hadn't seen each other for about 3 weeks before their New York City trip. She also shared that Chock was then headed to North Carolina to spend Father's Day with his kids. What Chock Chapple heading back home means after NYC trip. Although some people wonder if Joan and Chock will ever get married, they've insisted that right now, they're happy being engaged and traveling back and forth to see each other. Joan has said that she thinks that getting married would put a strain on their relationship because they're currently enjoying their lives the way they are. Joan and Chock's situation might not be conventional, but it works for them. Chock heading home to Wichita without Joan means that they are secure enough in their relationship that they don't have to see each other every day in order to know that they love each other. When they meet up in various cities, including New York, it's even more special for them because absence makes the heart grow fonder. Joan and Chock should do whatever they're comfortable with. While some fans have viewed Joan and Chock's long-distance relationship as a red flag, I think that they should continue to do whatever makes them comfortable as a couple. After their whirlwind Golden Bachelorette romance, they needed to take time to really get to know each other. As older people with obligations to their families, friends, homes, and jobs, they certainly weren't going to be able to drop everything in their lives so quickly and move in together somewhere. Their long-distance relationship gives them the best of both worlds. I believe that Joan and Chock's relationship will last because they're navigating it on their own terms. Whether they get married or not, they'll probably stay together for the long haul because they seem to be very much in love, and they really enjoy each other's company. I adored Joan and Chock's love story during the Golden Bachelorette, and I look forward to watching their relationship hand out as Joan walked down the steps of the Malibu mansion, her heels clicking against the smooth stone. Her hands shook slightly, but her face remained composed. She had just handed Chock Chapple a note. No words, no tears, just a folded square of stationery that bore his name in delicate cursive. Inside, Chock stared at it like it might explode. Around him, producers whispered frantically, camera operators shifted angles, and golden hour lighting bathed his weathered face in a melancholy hue. He didn't open the letter. Not yet. He didn't need to. Joan was gone. The woman he had given his rose to for the 3rd week in a row, the one he'd whispered to under starlit patios, had walked away before he could offer her more than his heart. No final embrace, no kiss goodbye, just the echo of regret hanging in the Hollywood air. Chock took a breath. He could smell the faintest trace of her perfume. And just like that, the Golden Bachelorette had changed forever. Dusty roads and empty chairs. It wasn't long before the cameras were off, and Chock Chapple was sitting in a first-class window seat, headed back to a place most contestants would never dream of filming a final, Salina, Kansas. A town where the loudest sound at 5 p.m. was the clink of coffee mugs at Fran's Diner. and where the hot spot on Friday night was the Walmart parking lot. Chock hadn't been back since his audition tape had gone viral, an unexpected hit of charming Midwestern vulnerability, aged wisdom, and his surprising talent at singing old Garth Brooks songs with teary-eyed sincerity. Joan had loved that about him, said his voice reminded her of a life she almost had. Maybe that was the problem, it was too real. As his boots stepped onto the dusty main street once more, Kansas seemed to sigh in relief. "Chock's home," muttered an elderly man at the gas station, peering over his newspaper. But this time, Chock wasn't the quiet widower people remembered. He was the one who got left on the Golden Bachelorette, and Kansas wanted answers. Not so golden anymore. It didn't take long for the whispers to begin. At the local barbershop, someone said Joan had left him for a producer. Down at the church potluck, someone else swore she had rekindled an old flame. And then there were the TikToks, clips of her walking away, crying, looking back once, then disappearing. Some fans blamed Chock for not fighting harder. Others blamed Joan for not choosing herself sooner. Chock didn't say much. Instead, he spent his mornings walking the perimeter of the family farm, which now sat mostly idle since his son moved to Topeka. He'd stop near the fence line, look out into the golden wheat fields, and think about how fast the world moved these days, and how slow heartbreak still felt. The worst part wasn't that Joan left, it was why. She said she wasn't ready to be loved that deeply again. The letter he didn't read until now. For a week, the letter sat untouched on his kitchen counter beside a ceramic jar of sugar packets and faded Polaroids. But on the 8th day, after a dream where Joan stood in a red dress whispering his name into the wind, Chock opened it. "Chock, you deserve more than what I can give right now. You made me believe in love again, and that scares me more than anything. Please don't think you failed. I left because you made it too real. I hope you'll remember me the way I'll remember you, under that moonlight by the roses, where time didn't feel so cruel. Joan." He reread it twice. Then he cried, for the first time since his wife died 10 years ago. And after the tears came silence. But Kansas would not be silent for long. Bachelor Nation comes knocking. The producers couldn't leave a man like Chock Chapple heartbroken and off the grid. He had become the face of sincerity in a franchise often accused of superficiality. Bachelor Nation didn't just want Chock's story, they needed it. So when a black SUV rolled up to his driveway one afternoon and out stepped host Jess Palmer with a bottle of bourbon and a sly grin, Chock wasn't surprised. "You got one more story in you?" Jessie asked. Chock stared at him, then down at the wheat fields. "What do you mean?" "We're not done with you yet, Chock," Jessie said. "America isn't either. Kansas gets a camera crew." Suddenly, Selena became the center of the Golden Bachelorette, Second Chances. Producers set up shop at Fran's Diner. Locals were cast as background characters in Chock's healing journey. His neighbor, Debbie, even got mixed up for a Wisdom Corner segment. But it wasn't all gimmicks. They brought in therapists, old contestants, women who hadn't made it far enough in the competition to matter, but who still had feelings for Chock. There was Loretta, the jazz singer from Chicago, Claire, a rich widow from Montana, and yes, even Margot, who had been eliminated week 1 for accidentally calling Joan by the wrong name. Chock sat across from them week after week, but his eyes kept searching for someone who wasn't there. Until he stopped. The epiphany. It happened one night on the porch. Loretta had just sung Unforgettable, and the cicadas filled the silence afterward. Chock looked up at the stars and whispered, "Maybe I was supposed to be alone." But Loretta looked him in the eye, or maybe you were supposed to grow first. The next morning, Chock walked into filming with a clarity he hadn't felt in years. "I'm not looking for another Joan," he told the camera. "I'm looking for someone who wants to be here. With me, not in a fantasy, not in a dream." It was the first time he smiled since Joan left. And Bachelor Nation noticed. Joan's surprise return. The twist nobody saw coming aired on week 7. A letter. This time from Joan. The producers had delivered it with trembling hands. I saw you on the farm again. I saw the man I knew I wasn't ready for, but I might be now. If there's still room for me, I'd like to see Kansas. No cameras, just you and me. Chock sat silently on the bench behind the barn, letter trembling. Then, without a word to the cameras, he drove. One last talk. Joan waited in a diner outside Wichita. She wore jeans, no makeup, hair in a bun. Not the Joan of Malibu Nights, but the real one. Chock slid into the booth across from her. You came, she said, voice barely above a whisper. You asked. I was scared. So was I. They talked for hours. No production, no roses, no make-believe music swelling behind their confessions. And when they stood to leave, she reached for his hand. He led her. The Kansas rose. The final scene of The Golden Bachelorette. Second chances didn't feature a proposal, a ring, or a glittering mansion. It showed two people, older, wiser, scared, walking hand in hand down a dirt path behind Chock's house, past the fence line, into a field that shimmered gold in the setting sun. No promises, Joan whispered. No fairy tales, Chock replied. Just this moment, she said. He smiled. That's all I need. Bachelor Nation erupted online. No ending had ever felt more real. After the cameras, Joan didn't move in. Not yet. She stayed at the bed and breakfast in town, visited often, helped repaint the barn, got to know Debbie and Fran and even Jess Palmer, who stayed a few days longer than he should have. Fans begged for wedding specials, baby boomer-themed honeymoons, even joint TikTok accounts. But Chock and Joan weren't interested. They just wanted coffee in the mornings and conversation at night. Sometimes, the grandest romance isn't found in a rose ceremony. It's in returning home, hearts shattered but open, and choosing to love again. Not because it's perfect, but because it's possible.